Hi, I'm Nina DeLeo, Executive Director of the Victoria Bach Festival, and I want to welcome you to the 45th Annual Victoria Bach Festival. Now, the festival looks a little different this year, and we're sad not to be able to welcome everyone to Victoria, but we're pleased to be able to create this space at 2020.victoriabachfestival.org, where we can share in the music and the community that make the festival experience so special. Now, this is actually the second year in a row where we've faced some real challenges to our music making. Last year for our finale concert, 15 minutes before curtain, we had a power outage at the venue, and thanks to the amazing efforts of our stage crew, the orchestra picked up, drove down the street, tuned up, and the concert went on. Now this year we have a different set of challenges, but again, our musicians picked up, stayed home, tuned up, and made these beautiful performances for you. One thing that did come out of having to change plans is that we were able to take the time to look back at some of our previous Bach Festival performances. We're so often moving forward and looking to the next event or the next concert, and so this really gave us the opportunity to go back and look at some of the beautiful music that's been made over the years. We're very happy to share that with you today in this program, a look back with some memories at past Victoria Bach Festival performances. We want to thank our program sponsors, Prosperity Bank and Wendell Wheeler Wilson, and our season sponsors, the Texas Commission on the Arts, the O'Connor and Hewitt Foundation, and the City of Victoria. And now enjoy a look back at some Victoria Bach Festival performances.
Hi, this is Will and Ann Wagner. We wanted to talk about memorable performances from 1995 that we remember fondly.
Yes, the two performances that came up for us, turns out were in the same concert in July of 1995. And this was in the auditorium at Victoria College. It's fun to remember. It was within a couple of years, I think 2 or 3 years from the time that Craig came to Victoria. And it was the first summer that he stayed with us. And the first performance of the evening was Craig himself soloing in Beethoven's Third Piano Concerto. He had come down and had done some practicing on our piano, and he was incredible. It was wonderful to see it. And then the second performance of the evening was Vivaldi's Four Seasons, with Stephen Redfield soloing with the ensemble. And that was also very memorable. I have a memory of it. It seemed like they were very close to the platform edge, and they were so involved in the music that they might just fall off any minute. And the movements, his movements and his physical involvement in what he was playing that memory has stayed with me, but the whole of the concert was unforgettable.
I think that closeness and that warmth that began before that, and then we joined it in 1995 and a little bit before. But that same warmth continued as the venues went to churches and larger auditoriums, bigger orchestras and bigger productions. But there was still the warmth and the personal involvement of all of us being involved, I think, in the community as well. Wonderful music, always excellent, well worth the few blocks it took to go see. And it was just wonderful to have such a wonderful experience here at home that we were part of.
Hello, I'm Adah Toland Jones, and I'm Principal Flute with the Victoria Bach Festival Orchestra. I've been with the festival since 1983, with the exception of a couple of years. So when I was asked to tell you a couple of my memorable moments and to narrow down a performance I would like to highlight, it was almost impossible. I can remember so many memorable moments with so many different wonderful musicians. I've done dozens of chamber music pieces with wonderful people, Stephen Redfield, Melissa Mars, Bruce Williams on viola, and other wind players, and so many orchestral pieces with chorus and soloists. But a couple that I can remember in particular that really stand out is when I got a chance to do a chamber music piece that was flute solo and chamber orchestra called Voyage by John Corigliano. Another memorable moment was the Fifth Brandenburg, which I've done several times, but this one time with Stephen Redfield on violin and Craig Heller-Johnson on harpsichord, and that was really a wonderful performance. The other performance, though, that I would like to highlight is the Dvorak Symphony No. 7 that we actually did back in 2001. So the clip that they're going to be playing for you is from the second movement that I chose, where it starts with the wonderful wind solos, and then it moves into a beautiful, beautiful cello soli that I hope you enjoy from the middle movement, the second movement of Dvorak Symphony No. 7. So thank you so much for coming to our festival online, and we so hope to see you next year when we're hopefully in person back in Victoria. Thank you.
The one that comes to mind is a performance from 2016. That's during the interim year. I was asked to guest conduct Appalachian Spring, the original version by Aaron Copland. That's a piece that I love. And as a teenager in Mexico, I never imagined I would be conducting in the United States. So I was excited when I had the opportunity to conduct it in Texas. So that day, prior to the performance, I had been resting and looking at scores, and maybe, 90 minutes before the performance, I happened to look at my phone and I saw a note there that my dear friend and mentor, J. Riley Lewis, had just passed away suddenly. I was shocked by the news. I had only, again, 90 minutes or so to mentally prepare for the performance. J. Riley Lewis was one of the most cherished figures in the musical world in Washington, and had been a dear friend and mentor, somebody extremely generous, one of the greatest Bach performers in the United States. I remember him coming to most of my performances as a professional, and I know that's the case in other people's career, that, he was always looking after them, and he was one of the busiest guys in the business. So a generous soul. So in any case, going back to the story, I was trying to figure out how to perform this after knowing that he had just passed away. So I just went with it. I remember making an announcement at the top of a concert and just let inspiration take me wherever it wanted. And I remember it being a very special, very moving performance, at least from my perspective. And I will never forget it. And that's one of those occasions where something really sad and and difficult becomes very inspiring. So happy to be able to share this with you.
For me, in 2003, when the Brahms Requiem was sung and played here in Victoria, it was at a time in my life when I had lost a mentor in singing, choir director from college, who'd also gone to St. Olaf's like Craig had. And it meant a lot because of the memory of those we've lost, the legacy that they leave us with, and the grieving that goes with that. It was very special, and to hear Melissa Givens sing, sometimes I feel like a motherless child, was a perfect marriage, sung in such a beautiful way with human voices, a cappella without accompaniment. It was quite a night, and one that I will never forget.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child.
Just one concert, huh? There have been so many. Well, I would say that one thing maybe we don't talk about enough is our Victoria Bach Festival audiences. We have some amazing audiences that are just so engaged and so present. And one concert that was very memorable for me, where I remember that presence, was a concert in 2015 that was entitled North Star. This was a concert by our pianist Michelle Schumann, who was also our artistic director for a year, and her colleague Graeme Francis on the vibraphone. And those two just have a wonderful chemistry, and it was a beautiful concert. It was some Bach interwoven with some modern and contemporary composers, Philip Glass and Eric Satie, and I think maybe Ravel. But it was a beautiful concert because they had done some arrangements where there were interludes and there was no break between the pieces. So it was just an hour of this continuous flow of music. And the audience just, I think, was entranced, and that energy in that room. It was one of those concert days where that loop, that energy loop between the audience and the performers was complete, and you could just feel the electricity in the room, and it was almost on a molecular level, that energy exchange, and the room just lit up. And so I will never forget that concert. I loved that performance, and I loved that program. I went and saw it again in Austin. I loved it so much. But it was a different day and a different audience, and it wasn't quite the same. So that's some of the magic of Victoria Bach Festival performances as well. That day, that audience, and an amazing performance. So Michelle and Graeme, thank you for such a beautiful performance. And to our Victoria Bach Festival audiences, we will be back making that magic in the room with you again soon.
Hello everyone in Victoria, Texas, or wherever else you might be watching this video. This is Bruce Williams. I'm the principal violist of the Victoria Bach Festival, and Nina has asked us if we could share the memory of our favorite concert at the Bach Festival. And that's kind of a tricky one since I'll be starting my 4th decade as the principal there. So that's a lot of concerts to choose from. So what I had to do first was sort of make a short list. So here's the ones that did not make this short list. So here are the ones that did make the short list. The finalist, of course, probably has to be this one, because I'm wearing the t-shirt. As a professional and an artist, there are many moments in each of our careers that we reach a milestone where we know we've really grown, or we have the opportunity to grow. That's a moment where you win a job, or in your job you're offered a chance to be a soloist or a really high profile concert. Or you can have someone that you really respect say something to you that just kind of confirms that you're achieving what you're trying to achieve. And I've had a lot of moments like that in the Austin Symphony with my colleagues in what we now call the Artisan Quartet. And one of those moments happened after this concert of Vaughan Williams' Floss Campi. I knew coming off stage that we really had a first-rate performance, because I couldn't really remember what had happened. That always kind of tells me that I was in the zone. But as I was sort of walking off stage in a daze, Craig embraced me and said, "Bruce, you're a poet." And when someone like Craig Hella Johnson calls you a poet, that's a huge amount to live up to. And I think I've tried to live up to that designation ever since. So thank you for that, Craig. Thank you for that incredibly memorable performance. Thank you to all the board members and the patrons and all my friends in Victoria for 30 great years. And I'm really missing you guys this year. But what's most important is that you stay healthy and safe, and that we see you again in 2021. Okay, I love you all.
Hi friends, wow, this is so special to be with you all this week. I can't tell you what it means to me, and what a lovely event we're in the midst of right now, talking about favorite moments. And this was an impossible task for me because there were so many moments. So it was an impossible assignment. So I was mad at Nina for giving me this challenge. But no, seriously, yeah, I mean, one of a highlight certainly I'm sharing is the first movement of the Matthew Passion of Sebastian Bach, our festival namesake. I believe we did 3 full separate series of this work. So I had the chance in 3 separate summers to conduct St. Matthew Passion with Victoria, and then many excerpts and movements over the many years as well. But of course, this performance from 2014 was very special for many reasons. We had been with the band, so to speak, the orchestra, but I like to refer to my beautiful colleagues in this great band that we had developed over, by that time, 20-some years. And so many of us had been playing together for many years. You know, just right to my left hand here is a concertmaster Stephen and Bruce and I mean, I shouldn't start that list because so many cherished colleagues, and we played together so often. We could do shorthand, and so combining the beautiful way this band had come together and this orchestra had come together as such a fine ensemble, and then combining with the beautiful singers of Conspirare who had been on a similar kind of journey developing as an ensemble, and to bring these forces together, well, it was golden, the memories. This piece is particularly meaningful to me. It was really the piece that opened up my deepest lifelong relationship with Bach, and that'll be for another time when I'll retell that story. But this was a magical performance. We did it in Victoria, and we also performed it in Austin. And the vocal soloists all came from the vocal ensemble from Conspirare. They stepped forward for those, and that was exquisite. All of the instrumental solos, of course, came from this fine ensemble, and the chamber music playing within the orchestra was exquisite. I felt like this piece really spoke to us. We surrendered ourselves to it and gave ourselves to it whole, and this first movement is just a piece of that memory. Thank you, Victoria Bach Festival, for the beautiful years that we shared. And thank you, Nina, for this beautiful invitation. And Alejandro, so much. Thank you for this invitation to be a part of the festival you're leading now. It's tremendously meaningful to me.
I'm Faith DeBow, pianist and coordinator of the Emerging Artists Program. There have been so many special moments at the Victoria Bach Festival over the years that it's really hard for me to pick just one. But right now, I have especially fond memories of the Saturday night finale concert in 2019. With a large orchestra getting ready to play and expectant audience in the seats, there was a major power outage in the venue just a few minutes before concert start time. And I think in most places, after some waiting and disappointment, the concert would have been canceled, but not in Victoria. It was truly amazing to see what happened next. All sorts of people sprang into action, and a new venue was found, and everyone pitched in to move the entire orchestra, instruments, chairs, stands, recording equipment, everything needed to a new venue. And within 45 minutes, we were set up. I think the concert began a little over an hour after the original start time. And then within 20 minutes after the end of the concert, the new venue, which was a church, was completely reset and ready to go for the next morning's worship service. That late night music making was even more special because of that camaraderie, sense of adventure and fun, and the way that everyone pitched in to help. And I think that that really could have only happened in Victoria. I look forward to many more musical adventures in this wonderful city.